Well, welcome back to another episode of Bound by Banking. Today we are joined by Kristen Lancia. Thank you for joining us today, Kristen. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be here. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. We are very excited to have you as well. Obviously, you come with a lot of background, a lot of experience. So, why don't you take a minute or two, kind of tell your story, who you are?
Sure. Well, thank you again. I am Kristen Lancia. I lead marketing at Wayne Bank. My banking journey actually started, about 14 years ago behind the teller line here at Wayne Bank. I have different past experience before that, but in the world of banking started at the very bottom as a teller. And over the past 14 years, I've been really fortunate to have the opportunity to grow right along with this organization. I've been able to build this marketing department from scratch and help guide the bank through some of its biggest moments of change. We're celebrating 155 years this year, so really long longevity. And since I've been here, I've been fortunate to lead a full rebrand last year in June and go through 3 acquisitions. So, a lot of change and just exciting, and I'm. It's been very rewarding.
That's awesome. That's awesome. 14 years starting as a teller, and look at you now where you are. That's quite a
Right?
story. Yeah, and all the changes that you've been through and seen there at the bank, man, what a testimony. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So, well, very cool, Kristen. Well, if you're ready, I've got some really good questions here for you today. So, you ready to dive in?
I am so ready.
Cool. All right. All right. So, question one I got for you. So, obviously, you kind of mentioned that you guys went through a rebrand June of last year. So, what's something about that process that nobody really tells you until you're kind of in the middle of it?
Yeah, okay, good question. I think, going in, and I think most marketers would feel the same as I did. You think rebrands, so you're thinking logo and colors and, signage and all of those design aspects. And that's definitely part of it. But I think the thing that I really wasn't expecting is that it's way more than that. It's really an organizational change and culture change project that
Mm-hmm.
marketing happens to be leading. Logos don't build brands, employees do. So in this case, we're asking hundreds of employees, and we have a lot of employees who've been with the bank for decades, so a lot of longevity. So we're asking to give us their buy-in, but also start telling a new story about who we are. And that's just not what I was expecting going in. But the good part is that it's a true story. In this process, it took years. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
simple thing, not a quick thing. Fortunate to partner with a really good brand agency to, do the research and discover the story that we wanted to tell the world about who Wayne Bank is. So we did a ton of employee surveys and focus groups in all of our markets with non-customers and customers, a ton of digging in, which I happen to love because I'm a big nerd. That was not, that was actually way more fun than I thought it would be. But through it all, just really learning who Wayne Bank is. And, of course, who we are is because of who our people are.
Yep.
So people really are the biggest part of the rebrand. And I think, they needed to know that we're not changing who we are, we're changing how we show up in the world, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how people see us in a more modern way and, better reflecting who we've become as an organization. One who makes every day better for employees, customers, communities, and shareholders. Um, and I think change is scary. Most people don't do well with change. So sharing the rebrand was one of the most anxiety inducing experiences of my career. I worked so hard on it, literally blood, sweat, and tears. And it was so important to me that employees feel connection with the brand and feel as positive about it as I did and, believe in it. And we have amazing employees, and so it's really fortunate. They really did. They exceeded my wildest expectations of how excited they would be for this change. And it's a year later now, and they're really living and breathing our Everyday Better brand. We have two company stores for employee merch, and
Awesome.
we actually just launched a limited edition summer merch collection, which is really exciting to do, and it's been hugely well received by employees. They're just thrilled and excited, and I think that really shows how far and what a success, how far we've come and what a success this has been, that they're excited to rep our brand,
Yep.
not just at work but in their everyday lives.
That's awesome. Well, and you talked about, yeah, obviously going through rebrand, logos, colors and fonts and different things like that. Those are kind of those physical assets, but there's a lot of mental and psychological that comes along with it. And you hit it, nailed on the head there. A rebrand takes years, I think, to truly come to fruition. I mean, we're a year into, or you guys are a year into it now, and I think a lot of it's starting to take hold, but people have got to understand and recognize and mentally know this new logo, this new,
Oh yeah,
sayings and things like that. And so I think that can really, just take time. And there's that part of it that it's not quite as easy to tie down and, you know, do. It takes time. It has to run its course.
absolutely. And you think like, so it was June 1st was our launch day for the rebrand last year publicly, and it kept feeling like that's the end, like that's the end goal, the light at
Yeah.
the end of the tunnel. But it truly was the beginning, in
Hmm.
a sense, not even the end, because that's where it becomes real. And now you're actually working with everything, you've worked so hard for the past few years to create. Now you have the buy-in from the employees. Now you need the buy-in from everyone else, your customers, your communities, your shareholders, like I said. So it's something, it's a living, breathing thing, our brand, and
Yeah.
we're just constantly working with it, and it's really our North Star. Everything centers back. Everything we look to do is, is that true to the brand? Is that true to who we are? So it's really helped us focus and just better do our jobs.
Awesome. Very cool. No, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that things are going really good with the rebrand. Like I said, I know it's a big undertaking, and like I said, there are certain things you don't know what's behind the wall until you tear it open and get going. So
True.
glad to hear that
Yep.
things are going well with it. So, all
Thank
right,
you.
got another question for you if you're ready. Okay.
Shoot.
All right, so obviously you guys have been through quite a few acquisitions, and I know you've gotten to lead a few of them there at Wayne Bank. So, what's something that you've gotten better as each one has approached and you fulfilled it and you've gone through each acquisition? And what are some things that maybe still feel hard no matter how many times you do it?
Sure, sure. Um, I would say the major thing with an acquisition is communication, and
Yes.
marketing leads communication, right? So we're really pivotal to these acquisitions. Um, so I think for our employees, for sure, for customers, for the communities, the word acquisition can be scary. And like I said before, change is hard. People don't accept change, readily all the time. But I think with an acquisition, it's really fear of the unknown, like the what ifs.
Hmm.
What if my account isn't going to work after this? For employees, what if my job changes? For communities, what if my new bank doesn't support these charities that I care about that the old bank always did? So I think the most important thing, um, not that we've necessarily gotten better at it, but gotten better at recognizing the importance and the need for it, is just good communication. So particularly around that why, um, you know, acquisitions, I think, really succeed when that good communication reduces some of that uncertainty in the what ifs and the fear. So I find that marketing's role isn't just to provide that information, it's to provide more confidence so people feel secure and safe in that change.
Hmm.
Um, One thing I've learned is you need to communicate way earlier than you think. You want to communicate more often than you may feel that you need to. And you want to try to keep it as simple and straightforward as possible. So, easier said than done, right? But
Yep.
just keep communicating, keep sharing. Um, and I would say too, um, banking is different than other industries. So it's not something you often think of, but people do tend to develop an emotional attachment to their bank. So, their bank helped them buy their first home. It's
Yep.
where we all got lollipops when we were kids. It's the bank then helped send those same kids to college, and now it's helping people figure out how to retire. Um, there's customers who have been banked here for 40 years, their parents banked here, their grandparents banked here. That's a lot of legacy of trust in an institution. And so you can't expect people to instantly celebrate change with something like that where it's very emotional for
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
right? So you have to earn that trust. Um, One thing I am proud of that we've done is we've never really approached acquisitions as we're here to replace you, we're the new bank, our way or the highway sort of thing. We've always tried to communicate we're here to build on what's already made this community special. We're really passionate about hiring local vendors, supporting local businesses, investing in those new communities, just, taking our way of making every day better and just expanding it to be able to help and make a difference in the lives of new areas and new people. I hope
That's
that answered that.
Yeah, yeah, no, you did. And I think your point there on communication is perfect. And that was something that I was interviewing another person for the series, and they were talking about communicating with your vendors anytime you go through big changes, a core conversion or an acquisition or something like that, because chances are the people you work with have been through this before, and it could be the same way with you guys. Like, okay, everybody there at the bank comes from different life and different experiences that if you're communicating together, you're coming together as a team, could ultimately benefit things so much better than if one person or small team tries to take it on solo. And so I think, yeah, keeping everything communication, keeping records of everything, some sort of CRM tool or something like that can really help. And then I love your point about the sentimental value of a bank. I have never really thought about it that way, but to your point, okay, this bank has helped me bought my first house. They bought kids' cars. It's sent them to college. Like this has been my bank for years and years, and now it's being acquired by someone else that I don't know. That to me, I'm sure that's some heartache. Like there's a lot of
Absolutely.
that you never truly I've never been on that side, so I've never thought about it, but I'm sure many people have and have gone through those like, do we stick around? Do we stick with them? Do we look somewhere else? Like that's a good
Yeah,
point.
it's scary. It's a big change
Hmm.
and banking's not always the most glamorous or
Yeah.
exciting thing, but it's one of those industries and those services for you that you kind of count on to always be there in the background,
Yeah.
right? Like, you just think it's always going to be there. You're comfortable. You've developed that level of comfort. Your bankers. You know they're there to go to. So when something like an acquisition, seemingly comes out of nowhere, it can be really scary. And suddenly you're questioning something that you've maybe never had to question in your life. So just keeping up again those levels of communication. You really, really cannot over communicate
Yeah.
with an acquisition.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I love it. So, all right, next question here for you. So, I kind of saw looking through your LinkedIn that you seem to kind of enjoy mentoring.
Oh,
And so I'm curious to hear what's something that you actively try to teach or pass down that maybe you feel isn't quite getting enough attention.
Sure, yeah, it's absolutely my favorite part of my job, mentoring. I'm really fortunate. I have the absolute best marketing team. Everyone brings a unique skill set. We work really well as a team. We probably have a lot more fun than we should doing it. And I absolutely am so passionate about leading them and just being there for my team. Um, So I've been working for what feels like a really long time since I was 15, so like 30 years now, and I
Hmm.
I know that's impossible looking at me because I can't be possibly out of my 20s, but, no, I've worked for a long time. I've worked in different industries. I've had a lot of different managers, and, through that, I've kind of learned, what works, what doesn't work, what made me
Hmm.
respect someone, what made me lose respect for someone else.
Yeah.
And one thing I think I've learned through it is that really great leaders teach people how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
So I don't try to teach my people how I would solve a problem. I try to teach them how to think through a problem using their own experiences and skills, right? Because at the end of the day, it's highly likely they're going to find a better solution than I did, and they can share it with me, and we can, all
Hmm.
be a better team for it. But if I tell them what to do, I'm going to stifle that creativity before it even has a chance to blossom. And it's hard, when you have the answer, you want to share it, you want to help. I want to make it easier on them, and especially when we're up on a deadline, and we know marketing is all full of deadlines. You want to make it faster and you want to just get to that. So sometimes I don't always succeed, but I do try really hard because at the end of the day, I just want my people to become future leaders themselves. And I have a tactic I use, and I've told them I do this. Um, Sometimes if they ask me a question, I think, they really know the answer to this. I will not respond right away. I'll give it some time because I find that 9 out of 10 times they're going to figure it out themselves.
Hmm.
And then they're going to be more confident because they figured it out themselves. They adapted and problem solved instead of just having me feed them the answer. And again, like they're going to, be way more creative and come up with maybe a solution or an answer that I wouldn't have even thought of. That's a thousand times better than the one I would have thought of.
Yeah.
So it's really a win-win. I just want them to be confident decision makers, not people who are just constantly waiting for approval. They're rock stars, and I want them to know that, and I want them to believe that. Um, and yeah, I
I
think
love
that's
that. I think that the part you mentioned there that stood out to me the most was teaching them how to think. And it kind of comes back to the old saying here is, teach a man to fish, don't just
I,
give them the
yeah,
fish. And that to me is something that
exactly.
I don't feel like gets enough attention nowadays because we are just so used to, and especially as parents and stuff, it's like kid comes to you asking a question. Okay, it's my job to help answer that question. Our oldest daughter is starting to get to the age where okay, she's old enough to start doing her own laundry. So just the other day we were talking through like, okay, what does the bottle say? Oh, this says detergent. Okay, well, where do you think it goes in the wash machine? There's a little label here that says detergent. And so, like, teaching her, like,
Love it.
those little things rather than saying, oh, grab this, pour it in that, like, let's look. What are we seeing? Let's see if we can put some clues together. But that then teach them how to think for themselves, how to be a problem solver,
Yeah.
where they're not asking somebody, hey, solve this problem for me. Now they're like, okay, let me take a look at this and let me see if I can figure this out on my own. And that mind shift changes everything.
Totally, totally. I think, I mentioned a little bit in the beginning, I've kind of built this marketing department from scratch. We didn't really have
Yeah.
marketing. I kind of got thrown into it and learned what worked and what didn't, and was able to build it up. And a lot of that was really painful, learning
Yep.
learning as you go, not having the answers, not having anyone to go to and figuring it out. But it absolutely made me who I am today and the leader I am today, and gave me confidence. It's really, really increased my confidence. So I, want to do the same for my people. There's nothing worse than someone who's just my way or the highway. This is
Hmm.
how it is. I don't want what's the point of having a team if there's just one person who's going to overrule everything and not take, any other opinions? Like
Hmm.
it's pointless then. So like I said, we're all different, and everybody's got such great skill set and unique history, and that's what makes the magic when it comes together and everybody feels confident to be able to speak their truth and be honest and give their opinion and
Yep.
not worry that, oh, I want to make sure I'm saying the exact same thing that Kristen is going to say, or
Hmm.
I love when they tell me I'm wrong. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I think some of the best ideas come from is just the melting pot of brainstorming and coming through different
Absolutely.
ideas. So you got to have those different viewpoints. You don't want everybody thinking the same way. So
Absolutely.
very cool. All right, last question here for you, Christian. So
All right.
obviously AI is kind of the new thing over the last few years. Everybody's using it. So I'm curious to hear from your perspective, what are some things or some tasks that it's changed for you the most that you've been able to take advantage of? And then I'm curious to hear what's one thing you're like, no, I'm still going to do this manually on my own because I enjoy it, or maybe you feel like you do a better job that you just refuse to hand off.
Sure, sure. So I definitely have a love-hate relationship with AI.
I think we all do.
It's everywhere. I definitely use it a lot. I love it. I hate it at the same time. I tend to use it really to streamline the heavy, more like data analysis tasks. I think that's really the best use for it. It frees me up to take on more creative tasks that I would not trust to it, and that I also enjoy doing more myself. If we're gonna use it, might as well give it the tasks I don't want to do, right?
Yep.
So I would say I use it a lot for like either a first draft if I'm just don't know where to start on something, or I use it as kind of a final tune-up if, I'm having an off day or I feel like I just can't get the wording right. I know what I want to say, but it's just not coming clear. It can help give a little more polish. One thing I'm never going to use it for is strategizing, never for marketing
Yeah.
plans. Um, that's something I love to do and something I should be doing. But for brainstorming or troubleshooting, definitely an asset. I will say that you do have to train it and continue to train it.
Yes.
I tend to use like the LLMs I work most frequently with are ChatGTP and Copilot, which is what our organization uses. I also really like the desktop paid version of Claude, though I don't use it regularly. Um, but in working with the ones I do, I upload a ton of data, teach it the Wayne
Yep.
Bank brand and our history and our brand voice, teach it what I value and about myself too, so the output can match what I'm looking for. Um, I think it's kind of could be an extension of your team, but a super entry level like data analysis position, giving it the grunt work, um, things that would take up your time.
Yeah.
I years ago asked a manager, I would like, what can you recommend for me? I'd love to just have time to strategize and think. And that person like literally laughed in my face and was like, well, let me know when you figure it out because I haven't figured that out myself. But I would say AI has given me that time. It's definitely giving it things that, someone will ask me for something that involves a lot of time. And I think, oh no. And then I think, wait, I can put that right into Copilot and 2 minutes and we're done, and then that gives me more time for the things that I actually like to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree that some of those kind of just manual, daunting, time-consuming tasks, AI is very, very good at those sort of things because it can automate it, and it's like, okay, you can work in the background, meanwhile I'm doing stuff over here, and kill two birds with one stone mentality. Um,
Exactly.
but I agree. The strategy, the brainstorming, I feel like it has not there's no way it can ever compete with the human brain in human interaction. I feel like AI, there's certain limits to it, and
um,
I don't know, maybe this is just me just speaking out. I don't know, but I feel like no matter how advanced it gets, it will never compete with the interactions of a human brain sort of
Totally
mentality.
agree.
But
Some
okay, these tasks that take 2 hours that are just okay, I've got to build reporting or I've got to sift through this data and understand it. Like it can do that in no time at all.
It's amazing. It's every time I'm kind of impressed
Yeah.
and awed. But no, I couldn't agree more. I talked about emotion and banking before. There's no emotion. There's no emotion or feeling. No machine is ever going to replace that
Yeah.
in a
Exactly.
human.
Yeah.
So those passion projects or parts of your job that require emotion and care, I'm never going to give it to AI because I want that.
Yes. Yeah. And to be honest, there's still a lot of things that I think we enjoy doing. It's like, no, I enjoy doing creative work. I enjoy brainstorming strategy. I enjoy writing content. Like, if that's something that you enjoy, okay, keep doing
You
it.
absolutely use it for what you don't enjoy and keep
Yes.
the use it to make your job better, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So, very good. No, it is a very I agree with you. It's kind of a love-hate relationship. It's very good in certain things, but other times I'm like, I type in something, I'm like, hey, I need you to help me do this real quick, and it's like that was a total airball. Like you completely missed what I was looking for. It's like I'm just gonna do this
Yeah.
myself then.
Yeah, this is not worth it.
So, well, very very cool. Well, awesome, Kristen. Well, thank you so much for joining today. Really enjoyed talking with you. Really enjoyed all the wonderful insights. So, I can't thank you enough for joining.
Oh, it was absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Super fun.
All right. Bye.